Welcome back. Today, we are strapping in on one of the most talked about pieces of home office fitness equipment out there,
Oh, yeah. The Cubii JR1?
the Cubii JR1 under-desk elliptical.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're not looking at a standard gym machine here. This is a very specific tool, and it's designed to solve a very specific problem, the health risks of just sitting all day long.
So this is all about the trade-offs.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
trade-offs in designing something that's compact, quiet, and low impact.
Right.
It's about optimizing those long stationary hours we all seem to be logging every week.
Okay, so let's unpack this thing. And I think we have to start with the physical reality because that's its entire selling point, right? Its size.
It's compact size, yeah.
The design priority was clearly to fit it under most desks without, your knees constantly hitting the underside.
Which is the classic problem with these things.
So we're looking at dimensions of roughly, 23.2 inches long by 17.6 wide?
Yeah.
And crucially, only about 10 inches high.
And that low profile, that 10-inch height, that is absolutely central to its whole design. It dictates the entire movement.
How so?
Well, it's an elliptical motion, yes, but it's engineered specifically for when you're sitting down. The path of the pedal is deliberately short and shallow.
Ah, so it minimizes how high you have to lift your knee.
Exactly, which is what improves your circulation without forcing you into some kind of awkward posture. It really reinforces who this is for: remote workers, seniors, rehab users who need gentle movement.
I think we need to stick with the build for just a second because the sources get a little fuzzy on the weight limit.
They do, yeah.
The construction itself is, it feels sturdy. It's a mix of metal and plastic parts.
Okay.
But we found some conflicting info on the max user weight. One very specific source mentioned a limit of just 150 pounds.
And that is a huge contradiction you can't just ignore. I mean, for a product designed for adults, a 150-pound limit is, well, it's low. It suggests a potential structural issue.
Or a warranty limitation, maybe.
It could be. It raises the question, is that about the plastic parts breaking, or is it a safety recommendation tied to the physics of seated movement? Our analysis leans toward it being a cautious safety measure, but, the fact that it's ambiguous means anyone over that weight really needs to do their due diligence.
It definitely gives you pause.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to how you track your effort. It has this little built-in LCD screen. It runs on batteries, which is actually a big plus.
Oh, one less cord under the desk. Huge win.
Totally. And this screen tracks 5 key metrics: strides, time, distance, calories, and RPM.
RPM being steps per minute.
Right.
And, analyzing those metrics is key. Strides and time, those are straightforward. You know how much you've been moving. RPM is especially useful for pacing, for consistency.
What about the calorie count?
Well, I'd push back on the calorie metric a bit. Given how low intensity this machine is designed to be, that number is likely just an estimation. It's useful for tracking your relative effort day to day, but it's not a number you should be plugging into a diet plan.
That's a really fair distinction. Okay, let's talk setup friction, because there's always a catch with under-desk gear.
Always.
The sources stress 2 absolute non-negotiables. First, you need about 24 inches of clear space behind the unit.
And that's not a suggestion. It's for your legs to actually complete the stride without hitting a wall or the desk pedestal.
And the second one, and this is maybe even more critical, if you have a rolling office chair.
You must use chair wheel stoppers. This isn't just to stop you from, comically sliding across the room.
Yeah.
It's about stability. It's about safety. The force you generate, even on low resistance, needs a stable anchor. If your chair moves, the machine is basically useless and unstable.
So the stoppers are an optional accessory. They're a core requirement to make it work properly.
100%. It's an installation detail that a lot of the marketing just glosses over.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, though. The core benefits, the things that make this thing so popular. The biggest selling point has to be that combination of being low impact and, whisper quiet.
The quietness is the killer app. It directly solves the biggest problem with office exercise: being a distraction.
To yourself or to others?
Both. It's marketed as whisper quiet, and the user feedback, it overwhelmingly confirms this. And that's possible because it's not trying to generate massive resistance. It prioritizes acoustics over raw power.
Which makes it perfect for shared spaces or, if you're on back-to-back Zoom calls.
Exactly.
And the low-impact side of it is all about joint health. It's so gentle. It's great for people with joint issues or anyone in recovery, you get consistent movement without the pounding of a treadmill.
And on top of that, they actually managed to bake in a surprising amount of variety with the resistance.
The 8 levels.
Yeah, the 8 manually adjustable levels. You just turn a knob. It lets you go from a really gentle circulation boost to something that engages your muscles just a little bit more.
But let's be critical about those 8 levels for a second. Is that really 8 meaningful jumps in effort? Or is it more like 8 tiny increments of low resistance, just to give you the feeling of control?
I think it's probably more the latter. The sources suggest that while you can feel the difference between level 1 and level 8 is still, at best, a moderate intensity.
So you're not getting a huge workout.
No, you're controlling friction, not a big magnetic flywheel. But that said, the psychological benefit of being able to turn that dial when you feel a bit more energetic, that's a huge factor in getting people to actually use it.
And we can't forget portability. The unit itself weighs about 25 pounds, or 11.5 kilos.
Which gives it stability.
Right, but the built-in handle completely changes the game. It makes that weight a feature, not a bug.
Precisely. That handle is key. It means the machine is sturdy when you're using it, but you can still easily slide it out of the way or move it to another room. It doesn't become another piece of abandoned exercise equipment gathering dust in the corner.
And ultimately, the ergonomic value seems to be confirmed. We saw so much user feedback saying it promotes good posture, it boosts circulation. One quote really nailed it for me. It gets my legs moving during a day of sitting, and that's exactly what I needed.
That quote just sums it up, doesn't it? It's not asking you to interrupt your work. It's asking you to integrate movement into your work.
All right, now for the reality check. We've talked up the strengths, but we have to dive into the trade-offs. You don't get compact, quiet, and low impact without making some sacrifices.
You never do. And the biggest one, the one that will probably frustrate our listeners the most, is the data tracking, or lack thereof.
Yeah, the Cubii JR1 is not a smart device. The tracking is strictly manual.
It's a huge hurdle. So the JR1 is compatible with the Cubii app on your phone, but there is no automatic Bluetooth sync. Nothing.
Zero. If you want to log your workout, you have to physically look at that little LCD screen and then manually type the numbers into your phone.
And that design choice, I mean, it tells you everything about the engineer's priorities, right? They skip Bluetooth to keep the cost down, to simplify the electronics, and to let it run on batteries instead of a plug.
But the cost to the user is friction.
So much friction. In a world where everything syncs automatically, having to stop, read a screen, pick up your phone, open an app, people are just not going to do that consistently.
The data logging will just drop off after a few weeks.
For sure.
And then there's that intensity ceiling we mentioned. We have to really hammer this home.
Right.
This is not a cardio replacement.
No. The highest resistance level is still just for muscle tone and circulation.
All right.
It is not going to get your heart rate up into a high intensity zone. If your goal is improving your VO2 max or burning hundreds of calories, you're going to be very disappointed.
It's optimized for endurance, not power.
Exactly. Low and slow.
We also have to come back to the setup issues, specifically that desk clearance problem. User reviews are filled with people who bought it and then realized they couldn't actually use it comfortably. If you don't have enough knee clearance, you're stuck.
And if you have a non-adjustable desk, your only solution is to raise your chair, which then might mess up your whole ergonomic setup for typing.
It creates a domino effect.
It does. The manual even tells you to adjust your chair. But then you might need a footrest to get your alignment right again. So the device meant to improve your sitting health might actually challenge it in other ways.
And while it starts out whisper quiet, the sources do mention some long-term noise concerns.
That's almost inevitable with any machine that has moving parts and friction. A little wear and tear, and eventually you're going to get some noise.
So that whisper quiet feature might degrade over time.
It might become more of an audible but tolerable quietness after a year or so of heavy use. It just means you might need to do a little maintenance.
And finally, a really critical distinction. This thing is for seated use only.
Oh, absolutely. Do not try to stand on the Cubii JR1.
It's not built for that.
Not at all. It's not an upright elliptical. The engineering is all about stability while you are sitting down. Trying to stand on it is unsafe, and you'll probably break it.
So, bringing all of this together, the quietness, the low impact, the friction of manual tracking, the low intensity, who is the ideal user for this thing?
Well, based on everything, the ideal user really falls into one of three camps. First, the dedicated remote worker, someone sitting for 6, 8, 10 hours a day whose main goal is just better circulation and some gentle activity during meetings.
Those continuous micro movements.
Exactly. Second, Seniors or people in rehab, anyone needing very gentle, low-impact exercise where the ease on the joints is the top priority.
And the third?
Anyone who is really constrained by space. If you live in a small apartment or you have a tight office setup, the compact size is the defining feature. It becomes a top contender, even with its technical limitations.
So our final judgment is that the Cubii JR1 is extremely successful at what it was designed to do.
Right.
It solves the problem of active sitting. It boosts blood flow. It integrates movement into your day quietly and seamlessly.
Right.
But you have to accept the trade-off. You are forfeiting high-intensity cardio results, and you are giving up automatic data syncing in exchange for that silence and that small footprint.